Yeah.
Okay, shit. All right, are you ready?
I'm ready, babe.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to your favorite podcast. You know the name. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Yeah. Okay. Chris, this the singing mic.
I love it. Oh,
and I give it to the. What you got?
I got I don't know. I'm not really a good singer. I love Whitney Houston.
What you got?
I get so emotional, baby, every time I think of you.
That's not even the right music that's playing.
Oh, to this? This sounds like, what does it sound like? Heavy D? I don't know who this is. This is West Coast. Ace of Base. I saw the sign.
Give me my goddamn singing mic. This motherfucker. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chris Distefano. Woo! Woo, woo, woo. You can't even hear it. Okay, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Riffin with Griffin. And today's guest, the very funny, the talented, the rising star. You have to say your last name because I don't want to say it wrong.
Chris Distefano.
Distefano. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Distefano.
Chrissy D, also known as Chrissy Drip Drop.
I've been saying your name wrong for the longest time. I've been like teasing that you're going to be on the podcast on my thing. Like, yeah, Chris Distefano is coming on. Like, you probably get that a lot.
All the time. And then, obviously there's a comedian, Mike Distefano, who passed away a few years ago.
Oh, right.
Mike. So a lot of times in New York, all his old friends, the Colin Quinns and all those guys, they'll call me Mike still. And I'm like, it's Chris. And they're like, but Mike Distefano. So like, we liked him better than you. So he's dead. So we're just going to call you Mike and hope that you die and he comes back.
So originally from New York, obviously.
Brooklyn, New York, baby. Currently live in Bay Ridge, which is a very old school New York neighborhood.
Yeah.
Which is a nice change of pace.
Really?
Because here's the thing. First of all, I'm in entertainment.
Okay.
So I'm, liberal. You're more liberal anyway. So I am. And it's like, some parts of Brooklyn have gotten so soft where it's like everyone's like quinoa and paper straws, really? Which is fine, but it's like first world problems where when you go to Bay Ridge, it's a nice melting pot because you have a nice Muslim community and some of them and it's interesting because you have Muslims who will go into pizzerias with full hijabs on, and then you'll have the Italian, like Paulie Walnuts, the actor, Tony Sirico, the guy who played Paulie Walnuts in The Sopranos, lives 3 blocks away from me. He'll go into Muslim bakeries and get goods from there, and it's this nice melting pot where you have like 2 groups of people that like are living in harmony, but they're both like set in your ways. Like in the same day, you had. November, whenever Trump won the election, whatever date that was, on that day, you had a bakery on 3rd Avenue and 91st Street giving out giving out free black and white cookies because Trump had won. And then on the middle of that block, the Muslim community, you had the FBI came and raided and they got a guy who was wanted for terrorism. And then a little bit like 2 blocks down, you had somebody who had gotten into some like big domestic dispute and was like holding her kids hostage or something like that.
This is all where you're from.
This is all where I'm from on the same block, was holding her kids hostage.
And this is the melting pot?
This is the melting pot. Was holding her kids hostage because Hillary had lost and she thought that she didn't want her children to go into Trump's new America. So that was all in the same block. You had a terrorist, people giving out black and white cookies because Trump won, and then people barricading their children in the house because Hillary lost.
I'm surprised because when you just at first glance,
right,
someone would look at you, they would see like the swoopy hair,
right,
the tattoos,
yeah, and they'd be like, "Gay man."
That's option B,
right, yeah.
No, but I was gonna say like you wouldn't come across as like a super liberal. You consider yourself like real liberal, or I
consider myself a gray zone person. I've only voted Democrat in any election I've been able to vote in. But I'm one of those guys where it's like, I think inevitably I live in the gray area. My father was like an actual criminal, like a for real like criminal, or I don't think he was in the mafia, but he got swooped up in mafia organized related stuff and was thrown in and out of jail. So one of those like wise guy kind of guys.
Right. He was wise guy adjacent.
Right. Yeah. He was like, wise.
He wasn't a made man, but he was.
Yeah, he was a wise-ish guy. And then my mother graduated from Columbia University, so an Ivy League school, and extremely liberal.
So Dad was reaching up, huh?
Women's studies. Oh, yeah, well, I tell a story on stage, but they actually, the truth, they met at a walkathon. And my mother was walking in the walkathon raising money for like cancer and other great things. And my dad was doing community service on the side of the walkathon, where the walkathon, he was like in an orange, like picking up garbage, and flirted with her as she walked by and was like following her while he's picking up the trash. And he was like, let me just, please give me a number. And she said, she told him her number. She's like, if you can remember it, call me when you get out. And he says he got out like 3 or 4 weeks later and remembered the number and called her. He said he like asked his friend for a pen and he wrote it down. And he was like, couldn't wait to call her mom.
So he was in jail doing community service on the side?
It was like that halfway house community service.
But
like,
she knew, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, you're in an orange jump. I mean, you're like in a, everybody knows, like, they have them in uniforms. Yeah, but so he had to go back to that halfway house and he got out in like 3 weeks.
So it's like your mom sort of made good choices.
Yeah. Well, she made good choices. She made one really bad choice because my father's nickname is Tony Balls. So it's like that's... my mother graduated from an Ivy League school.
When did she find that out? Like in the dating process, when did she find out that he was Tony Balls? Well, like, it couldn't have been in the first week because that might be like, I don't know if I want to continue this.
Well, here's what like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and what I believe like you don't. When it comes to nature, and there's just something deeper that I don't think we understand. So what happened is my mother, was young. She was 21 years old, very religious woman, very smart, was kind of wooed by my dad. They wound up conceiving me on the second date. Okay?
Oh, wow.
But because my mother was like, and then my mother
bad decision.
Second bad decision, I know. Yeah. So it's like, did they even have condoms in 1983, 84?
I think they did.
They did? My dad wasn't using them, though. Yeah.
Neither was your mom, apparently.
No, they weren't. They both were. Yeah, so my dad, so like whatever, 6 weeks later, my mom found out she was pregnant, was like, we need to get married because, very Catholic.
Oh, yeah, back then, yeah.
Back then. So they got married, had me. My mother divorced my father immediately. And then just immediately, she was like, I'm not, because the thing is like, as you're pregnant, like she found out his nickname was Tony Balls, but she was already pregnant with me. So it's like, now you're stuck.
By the way, I also understand too, she was going to Columbia, you said, right?
Yeah, graduated.
So she was going to Columbia, and then she woke up from this haze like, what the fuck did I do? I just got pregnant by like a pseudo mobster who was in jail. I have to tell people we've been dating and we're getting married.
Yeah, and it's interesting enough, my mother's father, my biological grandfather, was a cop and didn't know for sure, but had thought that a couple years earlier he had arrested my father for some petty type of crime.
Oh, wow.
So he was always like, you look familiar. My dad was like, I don't know what that, I don't know. I don't think so, sir. I have your daughter pregnant, but I don't know where you could know me from. And he's like, my mother's like, I think he arrested him and he never wanted to tell me. But so anyway, so they get divorced. And my father's a great father, really, really great dad, still to this day, just a great dad.
That's good.
But fast forward, and my mother's whole upbringing, she was like, you're not going to sound like your father, you're not going to act like your father, you're going to pronounce your R's, you're not going to get involved in the streets. So because it's like, you're going to say water, not water,
Right.
So she was like, because my dad's like
just move up just a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So you can, there you go. So you can like move back. There you go.
So my dad's like a stereotypical like New York fucking guy. And so my whole childhood, my mother always had me in extracurricular activities, playing sports, went all the way through graduate school, got a doctorate degree because my mother's very intelligent. She was like, you will not stop at undergrad. You're going to go through graduate school. I don't care what you want to do. So all these things, and I never got in trouble, never made any mistakes. And my mother was always like, make sure that, that you find a girlfriend and, you guys get married and you have this whole life and all these things that she was pushing me through school. And all I did was do the right thing. Fast forward 30 years old. Second date I go on with this girl, get her pregnant. Now I have a 4-year-old daughter. And so it's like my mother couldn't believe.
It's the circle of life.
Yes. My daughter's name is Simba. Yeah. Yeah. I named her a boy.
You had a ceremony, you held her out like,
yeah.
Bowie.
Yeah. It was so funny too, because like my dad is just like such my dad. Like
what did he say to that when all this happened? You come to your dad and go, "Guess what I did?" What did he go? Did he go? Was he happy or was he? What was the response?
He was the only. I gotta give him credit. Because again, second date. I barely know this girl. Like my mother hung up the phone on me, didn't want to talk to me for 2 weeks. My aunt,
because she tried her best, man. Yeah, she worked 20-something years for you not to be your father.
I know. And I just became my father. And my aunts were like, what an idiot. But my dad, when I told him, I was like, hey, I really fucked up. I was like, I really messed up, Dad. I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, I got this girl pregnant and I don't know her and we're going to have the baby. And I'm just sorry like that it happened this way. And he was like, I don't know why you're apologizing or saying you're sorry. He said, first of all, congratulations.
Right.
He said, it's a beautiful thing. He said, we're going to raise this baby. If she doesn't want to do it, if you don't want it, we're going to raise this baby.
I love
so
that.
He was like, stop. He said, stop saying you're sorry right now. He's like, I know. He's like, are you saying your mother? He was like, your mother's good. Because the thing is, I called my dad first.
Yeah.
And my dad, because my dad knew right away. He said, well, we're going to have to figure out a way how to tell your mother. Because they were divorced. Because my dad's been remarried 25 years. My
but they have a relationship, right? They just through you.
Kind of. Okay. Well, now they do.
Right.
My dad and mom are very close now because they're both grandparents. And I had to tell them, like, listen, there's going to be no more bickering bullshit. You guys, I don't want that energy around my child.
Right.
So they said, so they're very good grandparents. And my dad, his wife, my stepmom, and my mom all do a great job of being great grandparents to my daughter now. But at that time, they still, their relationship was on ice a little bit. My dad and my mom kind of always didn't. My dad always loved my mom, was always like, listen, that is the mother of my child, so I'll always love and respect and protect her. There was instances where my father beat up my mother's boyfriends. It was kind of like wild at times. I could tell those stories too. It's kind of like nuts. But my dad said to me, when he was like, congratulations, we're going to figure this out. He said, you do not tell your mother though. He said, you got to listen to me now, Chrissy. He always called me Chrissy. He goes, you got to listen to me now, Chrissy. You can't tell your mother. And I'll never forget. I told my father I was in the parking lot of Side Splitters Comedy Club in Tampa, Florida.
Oof.
When I found out, yuck.
Nightmare.
Yeah. There was some toothless woman.
But were you staying at the condo or did he put you in a shit hotel?
Oh, come on, dude. In the condo, half the room sold. Somebody's tooth in the sink at the condo.
Yeah. That guy's a piece of work. I got stories.
Disgusting. He was like proud of the night before. He was like, I knocked a woman out in the parking lot last night. I'm like, this is great. Happy to be here. Yeah. So I'm telling my dad and he goes, you can't tell your mother. He goes, do me a favor. We're going to have to wait about 2 months to tell your mother. He said, you're going to need to introduce this girl to your mother tomorrow, but you can't tell her she's pregnant for about 2-3 months. And I said, why? I said, why wouldn't I just say it immediately? He goes, no. He goes, what you got to do, he's like, you got to introduce this woman to your mother because you got to basically impregnate your mother with the idea of this woman being impregnated. He said, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, kind of. He goes, listen, you got to go 2-3 months, let this woman fall in love, your mother fall in love with this woman.
Yeah.
And then
bring her around.
She's already impregnated with the idea of this woman. She loves this woman. And then boom, you tell her, and by the way, she's impregnated 3-4 months in. He said, that's what you do.
I know you didn't do that.
I didn't do that because I am a mama's boy, and I started to cry.
Just like piece of shit. Like what?
Yeah.
Why would you?
Yeah.
Okay, what happened?
Literally,
you crushed your mother's soul,
dude. All my dad does, all my dad does is yell at me because my dad's like a tough guy, and I'm like, because I was raised mostly by my mom. Like even during Christmas time, my dad ate not like half a tray of lasagna, 6 cannolis. He's diabetic. 6 cannolis, half a tray of lasagna. Like 2 pounds of penny vodka. And all I said as a caring son, I was like, Dad, you got to slow down. You got the diabetes. And he goes, oh, I didn't know I had a gay son. And he's just shoveling penny vodka, deep throated. So that's the kind of dad I have. So he was like trying to talk to me, father, son. And then I just go and tell my mom.
Yeah.
And he's like, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Because then my mother immediately calls him. And I'll never forget, I had a call from my dad Tuesday, 2 missed calls in a row, and then text call me, and he's like, you told your mother, you dummy?
Wait, did you rat your dad out?
I didn't rat my dad out, but I just couldn't hold it in.
Okay.
And
I hope you didn't go, Dad told me not to tell you.
No, I would never. No, my dad, no, see, that's the thing with my father. My father's number one. My father told my 4-year-old daughter, who's in fucking preschool, to not rat out her friends. That's the number one thing she should never be doing is ratting her friends, because she'll come in and be like, oh, this little boy did this to me. He's like, why are you being a rat? Why are you being a rat?
This is like a show like Sopranos, the Degrassi years.
Yeah, yeah. So he always would tell me, because he would take me, like I remember we would go to Yankee Stadium, or when my father would come pick me up for the weekends, like my mother was like, no soda. He's not allowed to have soda. And as soon as we would turn the corner, he'd give me Mountain Dew. Right. The worst shit. Because he's like, whatever.
He was the worst. I get it.
He was the worst. Yeah. He was the worst, but simultaneously the best, you know? And so my father was always the same thing. Like he would take me to the racetrack, but we weren't, being around his gambling friends. He was like, oh, we're going to, tell your mother we went to the zoo, like things like that. Or when we would go to Yankee games.
So what you're saying is your father basically was undermining everything your mother did.
Everything.
And you got a chick pregnant.
I got a chick pregnant. Yeah.
I get it. Okay.
Every time I'll never forget, where I grew up in Ridgewood by Seneca Avenue. That's where my house was. Every time we would get to the corner of where my block is and Seneca Avenue, he would walk me there, and then I'd walk across the street into my mother's house. He would always say, what, and whatever we would do, he would be like, remember, don't tell your mother. So there was so many times he's like, we're not going to tell your mother about this. So I never ratted my dad out. When she got pregnant, I was I kind of like needed my mom, because I was so nervous about everything. I was like, and then she hung up the phone on me and didn't talk to me for 2 weeks. But then she came around and has been the best grandma.
Yeah. Well, because the thing about it is, I get it, because she made it work. Like she probably thought to herself, okay, I'm mad. And now she was like, okay, I went through this. Let me help my kid, go through what I went through. And then maybe you're going to break the cycle.
It was funny too, because my kid's mom is beautiful. Donnie knows her. Beautiful, beautiful girl. She's very Latina, Puerto Rican girl from Brooklyn.
Gotcha.
And my mother's like an articulate white Ivy League woman. So I bring home my baby mama.
You bring Rosie Perez home?
Yeah, she has a tattoo in her tit, your hair pulled back. And my mother just goes,
sometimes when you win.
Yeah, she's like, I want a Fanta. And my mother, I'll never forget. I'm like, Mom, this is my girl. And my mother just took a deep breath and she goes, she was like, welcome to the family. That's what she said. And then she took a glass.
She blew her racism out.
Yeah, she blew it out. And then she goes, she took a sip of Pinot Grigio and she was like, let's go in the living room. She tried to blow it out. But you know what? I got to be honest with you. Number one, when it comes to mixed race babies, because my daughter's Latina.
Hello.
That's what nature wants. The healthiest immune systems are people with mixed races. Nature wants you to fuck outside your race. So stop fucking having sex with your race. Let's get global.
You know what? You didn't say that with like enough passion that I believe you. You said that with I still like white girls.
White girls do give the best head. No, honestly, man, for me, it's always been the Latinas. They fucking get me at every turn. I'm always like, I'm not a sex addict. I'm not a sex addict. And then I'll just see an ass. I'm like, I'm a sex addict. I want to put my head in that empanada ass. What are you? Are you black, white, mixed, Latino?
Very mixed.
Okay.
I'm very mixed. I have a mixed origin, and so I don't worry about it, because I always say people want to know what you are so they can know how to hate you.
Do you have kids?
They want to put you in a box. But I'm close. My girl and I were like, I'm ring shopping, or
good.
I should say she's ring shopping.
Yeah,
that's how that goes. So yes, that's a big announcement. I'm ring shopping. But this great origin story, I love all that. And now here you are as a comedian, and you're out here. Like, I think you're doing comedy right now at a time that is like, this is like the gold rush of like YouTube and social media and podcasting. And it's like this weird thing. How has it affected what you do right now?
Well, I mean, even now, me coming out here to LA, I mean, I made a trip out here solely to do podcast, your podcast, Theo Vaughn, The Fighter and the Kid, to be a guest on those pushes my career forward.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So much more than I'm also doing Jimmy Kimmel on Thursday night, doing stand up on the show, and I'm looking forward to it. And I'm excited about it, but I'm really focused on this.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
You know
it's
what
weird.
I mean?
It's such a weird thing.
Like, I'm not saying fuck that. I'm going to do it and give it 100%, but it's like I'm not expecting that to do anything for my career. I'm expecting this to, like, when I got tickets, and this is what it is, and I just feel like it gives our fans an opportunity to like really get to know us and be in their ear for
direct to consumer,
and we can like be ourselves. And I feel like, thank God we have this outlet. It's like very cathartic to like talk about whatever bullshit thing is happening in the news that we're like, yo, that's not really like that. And we can just have an opinion on it, where, 20 years ago, we wouldn't. Like, our only outlet would have been going on the Tonight Show, where you have 5 minutes and you have to be clean and play pretend the whole time, where now we could be like, hey, here's the real shit. And I feel like the people, the public, is responding to that in a good way. So the internet, like I've had an hour special on Comedy Central. I've done David Letterman. I've been in sitcoms, small parts.
Yeah.
None of it. I was selling no tickets until last year when I came out here in LA and I did Theo Vaughn's podcast, Bert Kreischer's podcast. Then in New York, I did Andrew Schultz and Girls Gotta Eat. And then my career changed, for me.
Yeah,
like I'm still not where I need to be, but I mean, I'm selling more tickets than I ever have in my whole life.
It's amazing.
And it's just because of the podcast and the internet. And I put something out. I told a story about what happened to me on 9/11 and I put it on YouTube, a stand-up bit that I did.
Yeah, I saw that the other day.
And it has like 1.5 million views now.
Yeah.
And that also, so it's like, you could have given me the TV show. You could have given me all that. I would have never sold tickets. And that's all I care about is longevity.
I was on TV for 13 years.
Right.
And like people they don't associate that you're a comic.
Right.
When you do, even a comedy. I mean,
Even with Workaholics? You
Yeah,
feel
man,
like,
because they were like, "Oh,
interesting.
you're just an actor," or they don't associate that you're doing comedy, so it means that you do stand up. They completely separate.
So you didn't see a spike in your ticket sales with Workaholics,
man.
but
And
now you do because of your podcast.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but the thing about Workaholics is those were like college kids. They don't got money. They weren't
That's true.
going out. They don't know how to go out and have a good time.
Right.
They were just like, it was only Adam that was going out and doing college gigs, and
Right.
he was the one that was really getting people to come. But for me, it was like, oh, it's the weird guy from Workaholics. Oh, you're a
Right.
comic. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or they expect that person when I'm on stage. They expect like, how come you're not acting like Montez? You know what I mean?
Got it. Interesting. Yeah. I guess because, like, that's why with this podcast is like they know Erik and they want to buy the tickets for Erik.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
But also like it's weird how like I'm realizing that you got to like I'm still trying to find out who my audience is or how to reach my audience.
Mm-hmm.
So you do like weird things sometimes. Like I've been doing these green screen videos.
Yeah.
Like I'll put myself in other people's podcasts. Like Andrew Santino and Bobby Lee started a podcast.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll just add myself in the middle of their podcast while they're talking about something, and I'll just like make fun of whatever it is.
Hilarious.
But it's amazing how people go, "Oh, we love that. That you should do more of that," or like whatever the thing might be. But I realize now it's just I'm just gonna have fun.
Right.
Have fun on your social media.
That's it.
And then like share that fun with people. And it's just like with the podcast. I do the podcast really for me. Like that's why I sing and I rap and I do all kinds of crazy stuff.
That's what I was going to say. And I feel like when I came in here, when you're doing it, you got the music on the iPhone and you send all this up yourself. It's like, I was like, oh, this is a passion behind this. This guy wants to do this.
Yeah,
You're not trying to get, the fans and money are coming, but that's secondary. The passion is first, which is,
Yes.
Yeah. Which I can see very well, and that's probably what your fans hear.
Right. I mean, you know what? I do get that because when I first started doing a podcast, I'll be like, oh man, the sound, like this echo sound, you know what I mean? Like, I'll say something about it, and then like there's people like, Griff, this is how you fix it. You do this, and this, and then or people will like acknowledge like, yo man, it's sounding better since you started, and it's like I'm doing it, and then I get resumes in my PO box from people who are like, I want to be your intern, I want to be your nerd, I want to be like So I got this kid who helps me with the Instagram posts from the podcast, and it's very fascinating how people get so invested, and so I just started doing these I get these like meals. Today was the first day I tried it. It was a place called Sunbasket. They're not even really a sponsor. I want to get them to, you know what I mean? But I used to get like Freshly.
Sure.
And you ever heard of that?
Hell yeah.
But the microwave meals, and I loved it because you use smaller portions. I was starting to lose weight, but the delivery people are pieces of shit, man.
Right.
They were leaving the boxes on the street and shit, like it's just like because they're so fucking lazy,
Right. Right.
So I got this new one called Sunbasket, but you have to cook the food yourself.
Okay.
So today I was like, I made this shrimp dish from scratch.
Right.
And I was filming it, and I was like, oh, I can eat. People are like, you should do a cooking thing, and blah
Yeah,
blah blah.
yeah.
It's just amazing how they just want to see like as long as you make things fun, they'll appreciate it.
And I feel like more than ever, because you've been doing comedy, what, 15, 20 years?
Yeah, at least almost 20, I think.
Almost 20 years. So I'm 10 years in, and even I can tell, not in the 10 years that I've been doing it, this is by far the most that comics can help other comics is right now. I mean, literally.
Know what you mean.
A director, a producer, those people are great, but literally you can help me so much more than my agent can, than some director can, than some writer can. It's like we can all help each other. So like the camaraderie and nepotism amongst us all is good, and I can see it's making like people in the industry a little scared. They're like, hey,
oh yeah,
that's why I almost think like why when people are like, oh, sitcoms, they're so corny now. You have to be so corny. You have to be so squeaky clean. That's not what people want. I think take they're saying the network sitcoms are like, well, if we don't make this, we have to have something.
Yeah.
Where it's like, because if we just said you can curse and do whatever, then yeah, you're going to take that from us too.
Okay, devil's advocate though, I hear what you're saying on that, but I only disagree in one way that, we also live in very sensitive times right now. This is a very sensitive time. It's
Big
a very, so therefore, like for instance, I don't know if a show like Workaholics can be made right now. Like if they were coming out with a show that was like, where, it's like TNA and like, drugs and alcohol and all this kind of, they might be like, oh, we have to hold off on this because of how the society is thinking about
That's
things.
true too.
So I think that network TV, I mean, they're still catering to middle America. They're still catering to like, the Big Bang Theory crowd, and they want, they want it to be fun. And then they still have this idea that people only want to see pretty people on TV. And I think that the problem is, look, if it's CSI, yes, I want my blood expert on CSI to be a hot blonde.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't need it. You know what I'm saying? Because this is fantasy.
Right.
If I want to see ugly bitches, I'll go to the DMV. And I can just stand in line and be like, okay, there's regular chick right there. This is a cool story. But when I'm looking at TV, I get it. So that's why I'm not number 1 on the call sheet. But I'll be like silly guy, number 5, number 6, number 7. All I'm trying to say is that comedy, they keep trying to make comedy pretty. And it can't all be pretty.
No, and that's why I think
because it's not real.
Yeah, because and look at the success of there's a lot of ugly motherfucking comedians now, real successful. They wouldn't have been successful.
But they keep telling us that like they keep trying to make it out like no, they got. But listen, I get it though. It's an image business. You're a good looking guy.
Appreciate
you take care of yourself. You got your hair swooped and I get that is a part of your business.
Right.
You know what I mean? But for me, it's like, I gotta be funny. Like there's no wiggle room for me. Like, it's like, listen, I do all right. You know what I mean? I'm confident. I got a very beautiful girl that's gonna be my fiance. But in terms of like mass appeal, I get it. You have to. So there's a give and take. So like if we're on a sitcom together, it's gonna be the Chris show, and and I'm the guy that comes in, hey Chris, you know what I mean? It's gonna be a great show, but I think you need a balance of that. And there's so many of these shows I look on and it's like they think that like, well, we're gonna have the ethnic guy, the cute ethnic guy will represent the diversity of it. It's like, no, man. So anyway, to get back to it, to bring it, I'm just saying, I think that we're gonna get back to where we want comedy to be like something about Mary. Like just what happened to the raw in your face, that stuff. I think we're still a little scared. Right, I think Hollywood is scared right now to push that envelope.
And I think too, but you're seeing like all these people like go around Hollywood now, which you could never do that. Right?
Schultz is a big example of that.
Look at Schultz.
He put 2 middle fingers up to Hollywood. Oh, you don't want to fuck with me? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fuck with myself.
and then he's putting out some of the best content. I think the only space that I think you could still get away with a lot of shit is animation, like South Park. Those guys have always been able to say whatever, and I think
but they're grandfathered in though.
They are. Well, in a way, here's why I'm bringing it up. So I had a sitcom pilot with CBS. It didn't get picked up, but I mean, they made me, dude, look like a fucking cornball. I was in cargo pants,
man.
like a blue sweatshirt. My dad was played by Chaz Palminteri, who from A Bronx Tale.
Right.
And they had him saying shucks. It's like this guy fucking knows actual mafia murderers. They're not saying shucks. This character that I wrote is not a shucks guy, but they were like, people in Iowa like shucks.
Yeah.
But I have an animated show in development right now with Comedy Central, and the script that they're letting me go with is like fucking wild.
Right.
Like they're letting me let my dad make fun of me because I eat blueberry yogurt. Like they're doing shit like that where I'm like, wow, am I going to be able to say this? And they're like, it's animation and it's cable. So yeah, just do it. So it's kind of cool. I mean, it probably won't get, I'm Chrissy. I've had 8 pilots. None of them have made it. So I'm Chrissy one and done, Chrissy pilot. So I don't expect this to go, but it is cool to just at least somebody, at least the only people that I've worked with in cable that are like, yeah, man, whatever you tell us what you think is funny, push it as far as you want to go, and we'll see if we can get it through.
Well, I think it's going back to that. I mean, which I think is the smart thing to do. It's like, this is the weird thing though. Like people like you for a certain thing.
Right.
They watch your stand up. They've been watching you. They're following you and they know you as this. And then network television goes, let's take that guy and his fans and make him this. And then people are watching and they go, who the fuck is that?
Yeah, why?
Well, why did he do that? And then it doesn't work, and they wonder why it doesn't work.
And then they take so many licenses, like so many like cooks in the kitchen. I know this might be like very inside comedy, but it's just a point for a bigger thing where it's like people are so scared of what the truth is now because of like offending people. My real story that I pitched, that I talk about in comedy is I met my kid's mom. Okay. We got into like, we would argue a lot. She was kind of like wild and crazy. We broke up. She had a child from her previous relationship, a 4-year-old son when I met her.
Right.
And it's like the story was about me trying to raise this, have a baby with a woman I didn't even know, trying to learn a new culture, the Puerto Rican culture,
right.
and help raise and be a stepdad with his father was still in the picture. So trying to juggle all that.
Right.
By the time, and that's what we wrote, and that was a comedy about, and that's what they loved. Then by the time we filmed the sitcom,
you were a priest.
Dude, yeah, I literally, it's my show. They called the name, we named the character, the female lead, Izzy. The name of the show is Izzy and Me, so my name isn't even in my own fucking show anymore, so they got rid of my name. Number two, and then they changed the lead from Puerto Rican to Colombian for no reason, because the actress who played her was Colombian, and it's like, that's fine, but it's like, the show's about being Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
That's a New York thing. But it was fine, whatever. And then, they made me. The truth is, the comedy is about her being crazy and me being like, I need to get away from this woman. But they made me a little passive-aggressive bitch and her being the strong female lead woman. And then they took her having another child out of the equation because they're like, we don't want it to seem like she has all these baby daddies. I'm like, she has 2 baby daddies, and that's the truth.
Right.
So what are you saying? Like you're actually being more offensive. But you're saying, oh, what? Nobody can have 2 kids, 2 different guys. Yeah. So they don't even realize they're just drinking the blood of fucking small children and doing whatever.
Well, but I mean, this is what the world we live in. Like whatever's happening right now. I mean, listen, man, the Me Too movement had an effect on Hollywood, where it was like that's where they went with. They were like, let's make we can't have another white male star, so let's make him me.
Yeah. Congrats.
And then they just went with it like that. So I mean, I get it. I'm not mad about it. I understand, but I just still think it's short-sighted in a sense of like they've lost the essence of what.
Well, that's what I love about being a comedian and stand-up, because stand-up is, TV shows and movies, they can pick who they want for whatever reason they want. They want to represent this group and that, whatever. But when it comes to stand-up, when you just put the stand-ups on stage, you got to be funny. Nobody cares if you're, a transgender Eskimo. Nobody cares. It's like, are you funny? If you're funny, we're going to laugh at you. Yeah. If you're not funny, you're just going to sit there and bomb like a white guy, like a black guy. You're going to fucking eat it.
Everybody bombs the same.
Everybody bombs the same.
It's kind of like when a famous person comes to a club and like, they're going to go up and, do a guest set. And
it's like,
they get they get a minute of, oh my God, wow, I can't believe it. And then it turns into like, this motherfucker ain't funny. Like,
just why is he? Big fucking stink bomb. Oh, it's great to watch somebody just eat their dick. As comics, I was talking about this on Theo's show. As comics, I think that's the only thing that can genuinely make me heartfelt laugh is watching a good comedian bomb. Not a bad comedian, because it's like.
But even better is a good comedian that's your friend.
Oh God, just watching him take a fat one. Oh yeah, just eating their balls in front of like a packed crowd, and then just trying to be like, get out of it. Like, where are you from? Shut up, fucking bombing.
Man, I just do you think that there's like so you're from the East Coast?
Yeah.
Now, when you come to the West Coast to do comedy, like what do you find the differences?
I don't find
like, there's crowds. Is it like what do you?
Well, I think like there's little adjustments that I have to make. Like I talk a lot about my circumstances, which are having a Puerto Rican kid, and I know sometimes it's not as identifiable out here. They're like, we know about Puerto Ricans, but it's not that many out here, so I have to change a little bit of that. But as far as the same things that they laugh at in New York or wherever I'm at, they'll laugh at in LA. I think in the comedy club, the only thing I would say is sometimes I see a little bit more what I think when I look out at a crowd, at an LA crowd, it's like a little bit like they all want to do what we're doing, but they're like watching us as they're not enjoying it. They are enjoying it, but they're also thinking about, I wish I want to be in that show.
Half the room has a headshot.
Where New York, it's just guys who just finished a shift or guys out with their wives. They have no aspiration to be in entertainment. They just want to laugh because they want to forget about their life for an hour. And I know that LA has majority of that too, but I always did feel like, I feel like some of you people, the way you're dressed, the way you're looking at me is like, you are also in entertainment and think you can do this.
Yeah.
Where I don't get that vibe as much in the East Coast, but that's a minor thing and it's not every time.
I find that the comedy scene, I find that the New York comedy scene is much more gracious when it comes to outsiders at first. Like if I were to go to New York, and hit you up, you could get me like 5 spots.
Oh, no problem.
You could be like, hey, we're coming, we're going,
Yeah.
It's not like that in LA.
No.
It's not like that. There's a very few spots, and it's like I can't just go to like at the Comedy Store and be like, yo, can we get, they'll be like, are you kidding me? Look who's coming in the thing today.
Right,
it's different, like, there is more comedy in New York.
Right.
There's more clubs, there's more places to do it.
What?
But I find it more friendly.
It is friendly there. I will say though, it's we've now kind of been like, oh shit, we got to do these podcasts. And it seems like in the podcasting stand-up community out in LA, it's all love. Doing each other's shows, sharing sharing clips. Because, I mean, it's not even close, the numbers that your guys' podcast get versus what our podcast get. Like, nobody sells tickets. Schultze's maybe the only one that sells tickets like some of the LA guys out here, like you guys. Like, it takes a lot of work. Like, I just started selling tickets 4 months ago. And, like, I just started. Where, like, I know LA, the podcast.
Dude, I just started.
And it's, like, exploding on these shows.
Yeah.
And Joe Rogan's out here and all those big things. And, hanging out at you hang out at the Comedy Store, you're hanging out with guys that collectively you could speak to 20, 30 million people off your guys' podcast. Where we're hanging out in Comedy Cellar, it's like we're all, you got the big guys and they're great, but it's like, some of the comedians take the bus there. Like nobody has Teslas off the Comedy Cellar. We're taking the bus, we're sitting on the floor. David Tell's sitting on the steps smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
He's a genius, but it's like we're not. None of us we need that fucking Comedy Cellar free meal to do a spot. You guys are doing well.
But do you feel like your dream has changed since you came into comedy?
I feel like now, yes. I feel like when I first started, all I wanted to do was have a sitcom, like a shiny, glossy, Everybody Loves Raymond sitcom and tell a story about my dad. And now all I want is to tell an honest story about my dad. So I don't care if it's animation. I don't care if I put it on YouTube. I just want my comedy to be seen and heard by as many people as possible. There's no aspiration to get on SNL anymore. There's no aspiration to do a sitcom. If those things happen, they happen, but the aspirations are gone. What I am learning the hard way though, is with podcasting, because it's so free and, we're in your apartment right now and it's just like 2 dudes talking and you forget like this is going to be downloaded by hundreds of thousands or plus people. Like some of the stories. Let's hope. Some of the stories I tell, like I've said things on big podcasts about like family members or said stories and be like, I'm not saying their names. And then these people are like, yo, what the fuck, dude? Why did you say that? Yo, I got so many people coming up to me at my job being like, is that true? And then I'm like, oh, fuck. Yeah. So I'm learning that.
Or even like what happened to us the same with SNL. Yeah. It's like, we're having this intimate moment. We think like, oh, just my fans are going to watch this. It doesn't matter. You might say something off the cuff or a little off color.
Right.
And next thing you know, you're going for a job and then they're pulling up the clip like, yeah, you said this on this thing. So I know
Shane
that,
Gillis,
right after that though, after that happened with Shane, I found myself thinking about it.
Right.
I was like, I guess I can't just say whatever the fuck I want on my podcast.
Right. Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean?
And you can't, because it used to be like, oh, you put it on YouTube and it's free. You could say, but now
nobody's watching that. Now it's like, no, there are people watching.
Not only people watching, but YouTube is starting to act like a TV network too, where if your content isn't, if you're saying things that they don't want, you could curse or whatever, but if they'll take the ads off. You cannot monetize it.
Yeah. And so now there's the other networks are starting like these little off color ones that are being like, well, we're going to be where you could go.
Right.
There's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think, so I think not that my dream has changed. My life has changed, I'm a father first now. I came out like very rarely will I leave New York for not, the right time and money have become equal currencies to me now. So now, I came out here, came out 2 days. I because I got to go to Vegas to do that Jimmy Kimmel thing on Thursday. But I said, you know what? If I'm going to fly to the West Coast, let me get out here, hit these LA
I feel you,
podcasts.
man.
I'm taking 2 days away from my daughter and not making any money. But the hope is that I come back with the cachet of fans that leads to the long run. So my thought, and it's like my agent or manager would tell me, hey, don't do that. There's no point to do that. Or wait till you have a special. It's like, no. I want to keep coming out here and talking to these fans and being a part of this because we can all share the fans. I think sometimes in New York, there's like this little mentality like, oh, I don't want to tell so-and-so how I did that because then they'll take it from me. It's like, no, we won't. Shut up. We're all
so what?
Yeah, we're all part of the same thing. We're all if one of us gets big, we all get big.
Yeah, I do feel like there's more of that here with the people because I've seen these guys go from like, 0 to 60. It's crazy.
Yeah. What did you do before comedy?
Well, I was just working at a school. I had a whole different life.
Teacher?
Yeah, I had a whole different life plan. I thought I was going to do this,
right.
And then it just like all blew up, and I was like, I just didn't want to wake up 50 like I didn't follow my dreams.
Yes.
Because that's really what happens to people is they don't follow their dreams. They end up like fear stops people from doing things. You know?
No, I don't want to. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like just like, or you become a slave to things in your life that you don't know how to control. And for some people, it's like having kids or having a relationship, and then they feel like, well, now I can't do. Some people let that stop them. Other people go, because I have this, I need to work extra hard at this other thing.
That's what happened to me, man. Because obviously, of course, when I had this child and, my career was just getting started, even my own agent was like, hey, man, like, I don't know if you want to have that baby. Like, this makes things so hard. My friends are like, way to go. You just fucking got on TV and now you have this baby. And I got to be honest with you. Having my daughter was not only the best thing that ever happened to me because of her and getting to know her and how much she changed my life, but for career stuff, I've never worked hard in my life because I'm working for so much more outside of myself.
Right.
Not that I was ever an inherently selfish person, but like, I live my life to pay my rent and to do the things that I wanted to do. I would still give money to the homeless or whatever. I'm not a fucking piece of shit, but I was just living for me. But now to live for her and think about her and her needs, like I very rarely say yes to something that I regret. I always I'm being selective about, I'm going to say yes to this because I've thought it out, because it's time away from her. It's money that she can or can't have. So I'm like, where I used to just be and I've noticed like I'm financially in the best shape I've ever been with actually doing the least amount of shows.
Right.
So because I'm saying yes to the things that matter. And when I say no to something, it's not like I just sit there and play video games or dick off. I'm writing. I'm thinking about how I could make my podcast better or my stand-up better, or going out and living a day with her. And then that turns into material. So I think with having a child, for me, it was like that sink or swim thing, and I was like, I'm going to swim because if I don't, because then it was like, if I'm not going to go 100% into comedy now that I have a child, then I might as well go back to being a physical therapist, take that safe job, because now there's more people's lives involved. But I decided to say, no, I'm going to fucking really make it in comedy because I need to.
It's a very specific choice too. Like that's a moment right there. There's a moment where you look at your life and you go, do I want to just be safe?
Right.
Which is an honest choice that a lot of people make. Or do I want to take a risk, a calculated risk,
right,
and really try to achieve even more for myself and my family?
Yeah, and I that's what I say. I take a calculated risk because I'm not going to go all in on something if it's going to jeopardize my daughter's future. But I will, I go all in with things on myself. And I'm going to say, if I'm not going to do this 100%, if I'm not going to really focus on it, then I might as well not do it. Because one, I don't really want my daughter to be around a guy who's half-assing anything. I don't want her to, because that's why the father's so important. It's like, she's going to hopefully date a guy that has the same, I'm a fucking piece of shit, but hopefully, when it comes to
she don't know that.
Yeah, she don't know. Yeah. No, but if
you only show her the side of daddy provides, he works hard.
I'm like, please don't ever let her see my DMs. Yeah.
You know what's funny is what are we going to do in the future? We're living through something really strange right now.
Right.
Okay. So kids are now, because you can look at messages in your DMs and people from say 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. Right.
Right.
Girls who were whatever age.
Right.
20, 21, 22.
Right.
Now, 8 years later, they got kids and husbands.
Yeah.
It's like, so hoes actually can become housewives.
Yes. Oh, she did it. Yeah.
She did it. So
Yeah.
what I'm saying though is like, what are we gonna do with that stuff? You know what I mean? Like, what are we gonna do with that? Like, you know, like you're like, there's moms out there with hundreds of naked pictures
Yes.
on her phone, in her
know.
cloud.
I know.
And kids are going to be more savvy as they get older. And the next thing you know, they're going to be like, Mom, is that, you know, I don't, you know, it's like, what's going to happen? How do you, you know, what are we going to do?
I think it's going to be like that first time, you know, when we were kids, like, you know, most people have that story, like the first time you saw your dad's dick in the shower. Now it's going to be the first time you saw your dad's dick pic. You just see it and it's just there and it's something that you have to talk about. You know, I think that it's going to be that because, listen.
So you got a lot of dick pics is basically what you're saying.
Listen, I got a pic floating around the internet right now. I stuck a Verizon Fios remote in gray sweatpants, and it looks like my dick. And I've sent it out to many women when they've asked for a dick pic. And multiple women have been like, what if I tweet this out? I'm like, listen, I'll fucking retweet it because it's not actually my dick, but it looks enough like my dick where it's like, my daughter may see that one day, and I'm just going to be like, listen, I was drunk. Okay, mommy was asleep, and I stuffed the Verizon Fios remote in my pants, and I did that. Like,
or it's gonna be such a thing that's just how we are. Like, you know, maybe because we come from such old school. You know, with the internet keeps moving and moving and moving.
Yeah.
So we're still kind of thinking of like how when we were kids, we didn't have any of this stuff, and this is what was happening. But these kids are gonna have all of this and more.
Well, and even that, and even like this kind of like sexual revolution where like now, you know, when we were growing up, it was like, oh, a woman, you know, has to mind her P's and Q's and would never have sex on the first date if she called a slut and whatever. Now that won't happen. Now if a woman has sex on the first date, it's like she's liberated sexually as a female. Like girls don't think like that anymore. So it's just things have just changed. You know?
Well, you know, but see, my thought about that, even if you bring that up, is like there's two different thoughts. So you have this thought process of shaming people because you think it's wrong. Okay, then you have the extreme of that is to be like, dude, you know, go fuck. You're a powerful. But then when are we going to get to the point where it's like it's wrong for anybody to have sex on the first date?
I know.
Like there's things wrong with it that have nothing to do with gender.
I know.
It has to do with like, you know, respect for yourself and like, or not. I'm even going to say that. It just becomes like, if you don't really know this person, don't be surprised if some shit happens later.
Right.
Because that's what happens.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's when you look back and go, well, I was uncomfortable or I didn't. Because you had sex with someone you barely know. You don't know them. Yes, it was awkward. It was weird. You know,
Right.
so then that's why you got yourself in this weird situation.
I know. It was one of those things where like, yeah, like especially like with comedy, you know, girls, you know, the DMs, you know, how many one night stands you have meeting girls on the road. And then it's like, yeah, now we live in this place where like everything was cool. But there's even been times where I felt uncomfortable and didn't say anything. I'm like, I feel bad. This girl just came over, but I don't really want to have sex with her. And I would force myself to do it.
Bro.
So it's like, as a guy, I know that sounds weird, but there's times when I did that.
No. It's not weird at all. And
Yeah.
I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah.
Like, I know exactly what you're talking about. Years ago, I've been in a situation like this before where it's like, you know, they come. I'll never forget this girl, and I say to her, I go, listen, I first of all, it was a whole thing for her to get. I kept saying, you should just go home. I don't think.
Yeah.
No, she wanted to come, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're here. And I'm like, well, I don't really, you know, you're not attracted to me.
Oh.
So I'm like, now I'm obligated.
Yes.
Now I have to fuck this chick.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's like, so like, don't act like it's, but this is why I understand when a woman says like she ended up say blowing a guy or something, right?
Right.
And then later says, yeah, I was uncomfortable. But people go, why did you do that? I get why. Because you felt the pressure of the situation. You felt like, and this is why I say people should be more careful about what they do is because, you know, you've been texting and tweeting each other. You've been DMing like, I want to do this. I want to do that. And it's just talk, you know. For guys, sometimes I think it's different because if I say I want to do this with you,
Right.
that's what I want to fucking do.
Right.
You know, but sometimes the girls, they just saying it like,
Right.
oh, you wanna do that to my face? I want that too. They don't really mean it.
Right.
Then we get in person and we're like, remember the conversation we had about?
you said you were going to come right in. I was going to come on your face. Why aren't you wearing glasses?
You know what I mean? Like, I thought this was going to happen. And then they're just like, well, and then they end up doing whatever, something they don't want to do. And then later it comes out like, well, he made me feel uncomfortable and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, what the fuck? I didn't see that. But that's because we're not taking time to get to know people. We're not taking time to be personal. We're not taking time, you know?
Right. It's true. It's very, very true. And especially even now, you know, I saw a study that said the highest rate of teen pregnancy is now because of, like you said, the texting, the Snapchat messaging, the Instagram messaging. Not only that, they feel like after 2 weeks of texting constantly, it's like that's like a year or two of conversation. I mean, we're texting all day. You feel like I've never met you, but I feel like I've known you my whole life. So we have sex immediately.
And they don't, though.
They don't know shit.
They don't know. You guys, haven't you ever been texting with someone and then you had this sort of connection, whatever, and then you just hear their voice and you're just like, yuck. Or there's some timbre in their voice, or there's some way they're talking about something, and you start to go, I don't really like this person. I thought I knew them. Like, all of the texting, the 3 weeks of DMing goes right out the window because you're like, I don't like you.
Dude, there was a girl that I was texting, I'm not lying, for like 8 fucking months 2 years ago. 8 months. She lived in another part of the country. 8 month DMing, whatever, sexting, all that. I finally go to her city to do a show. I meet her. Not that it's a big deal, but she only had 7 fingers. She never told me.
Hey,
that she literally was missing 3 fingers.
You fucking open with, I got 7 fingers.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
How the fuck were you texting this fast?
You open with, because she was going like this.
Yes. She would, as soon as I would text, I would see the bubbles on her, and I'm like, she's doing that with 3 less fingers than me.
That would infuriate me.
I was infuriated when she said, and I noticed
the dishonesty of it.
Because I said, I didn't mention it, you know, whatever. And then she's like, oh, you want to know about my hand, right?
Yeah, bitch. I want to know about your fucking hands.
We've been talking like I've sent you like everything I've told you about my deepest, darkest secrets. You never told me you only got fucking 2 fingers on.
It's a form of
one
catfish.
Hand.
It's a form of catfish.
Yeah, and then she told me she got an accident. She got it stuck in a motorboat, which is, as a child.
Open with that story.
It's a good story.
So I got 3 of my fingers are gone.
Yeah,
and this is what the fuck happened.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You don't. Yeah. What was she like? Hey, baby.
She said literally.
Did she hide this hand the whole time? At what point did she pull it out?
No, I didn't. I kind of only saw it, like, to be honest with you, I kind of saw it like when we were having sex in the bedroom. Like, we were like, you know, I was like going to hold her hand, and I was like, what the fuck?
That's on you.
Yeah,
that's on that.
Yeah,
how do you not see the hands until you're fucking?
If you saw
what's wrong with you?
If you saw her titties, you would.
So here we go. Thing. This is the problem right here. This is like monster.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding around.
No, I
didn't notice her fingers though.
You didn't notice?
I didn't notice her fingers.
Well, no, because she was used to it. She knew how to, like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, no, she knew how to hold it.
Yeah, she knew how to hold it. She was always like fisting up or something.
To be honest with you, right after the show, we had a great dinner. We were chilling, conversating. I was like really liked her, and she was great. Yeah. But it was like talking. But it was a little bit of like, oh, I've known you for 8 months, and I didn't know that thing about you, which is not a deal breaker and whatever. Who cares? But it's like I felt a little bit like, yo, you're lying to me.
It would have been nice to know. Yeah.
Just like a little thing about you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, I don't know. I like, you know, as because do you feel like your fame is getting exponentially boom, boom, boom. So now I can tell you're a dude that's made a lot of bad choices.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like when you're first coming up, we don't even think about like the end result that one day I'm going to be famous.
Right.
So like, I'm sure you ever look back and be like, damn, I got a lot of DM conversations I wish I didn't have.
Absolutely.
Yeah, me too.
I got a lot of them. I got a lot of them, or a lot of like, you know, like, man, like, you know, never unsolicited, but like, I'll be like, man, like I on the 3rd message, she sent me her tits. I sent my dick. Like, what am I doing? And then I never spoke to her again. You know, like,
and that's just sitting there.
It's just in there. But it's kind of one of those things where it's like, what are you going to do? If it comes up, it comes up. I mean, listen, I know,
you just got to own it.
Every girl I've ever been with, like, I've wanted to be with them. They've told me they've wanted to be with me, and it's all been fun. I've never treated anyone with disrespect. So if anyone ever said differently, I would be like, that's not true, because it's not true.
Well, you know? You're one, too, there's that, you know, we all have a different experience, too. There's different levels because, again, you're a good-looking guy.
Yeah.
So you might have a different experience than other people. I'm not like traditionally handsome. Okay.
You're a guy. No, you.
But like I can talk. I could talk a good game. I'm interesting. So if I get
I'd
with
date
some, you know what I mean? You know,
I would date you.
I get
100%.
that.
Your wifey material, 100%.
I get that. I'm take care of you. You know, okay.
Yeah.
So I have to flirt. You get what I'm saying? So I have to. In the past, when I was single, I got to make the first move.
Got it.
You know, but sometimes that's gonna be like, well, I'm not interested.
Right.
But out of context,
Right.
that's gonna look crazy.
Right.
That's what I don't like about like DMing and all this kind of shit. Because now I look back on it. Because you know why? Let me tell you something that happened to me. Yeah. So I'm in Chicago.
Right.
Walking out of this club. I just did whatever the club in Chicago. And
Zanies?
Zanies. Just got finished Zanies. I'm on the street, you know. And some guy walks up, he's a little drunk. He's like, hey man, you know, like you know, I just broke up with my. He was like talking about his girl.
Yeah.
You know, you tried to fuck my girl when you were in whatever. And he had the DMs.
Shit.
He was showing
and you don't even remember his girl.
I don't know who his girl is. And he's showing me this shit. And I'm on like, well, listen, I didn't know she had. You think I knew? That's on your girl. Don't come at me. But I think he knew that. That's why he was like.
He wasn't angry. He was just.
But what these chicks will do is they're going to use it for their advantage to like, you know, it's like, well, you know, look who's trying to fuck me, you know.
Right. Dude, could do you one better or worse, actually. This was 6 months ago. Uh-huh. Right? Saturday morning, 9 a.m. My daughter was with her mom. Saturday morning, 9 a.m. I get a knock on my door. I thought it was, you know, whatever. Who could have been. I didn't even think who it could be. I thought maybe I delivered something, or wrong delivery. Some dude looked like frazzled as fuck, like raggedy. He goes, are you Chris? I said, yeah. He goes, you've been fucking my wife. And I was like, whoa. And it was one of those like split-second decisions. I was like, I can either try to attack this guy or defend an attack or try to disarm it. And I had just woken up and I just was like, what's going on? And I invited him into my home, which I know is fucking crazy.
No. It's not.
I know.
As a comic, by the way,
yeah,
you make quick assessments of people.
Right.
So you already assessed that. You would, like, if you were the Terminator, it would be like not a threat. You know, he had a certain level of like what he was dealing with.
Yeah.
The fact that he came to your place in the first place, he didn't come with violence. He was just like, he was upset, but he probably was just like, as a man, like, dude, you're fucking my wife.
So that's all that. Well,
right?
Well, no, because I live in an apartment building. So he came in and found my actual apartment. So I knew he knew exactly where I lived. So, but I just was like, the only way to disarm this is I felt like, let me talk to him, because I would never willingly have sex with somebody's wife. Right. So like, I knew for a fact that I didn't know. I was assuming that I probably did have sex with this woman, but I didn't know that she was married.
Right.
And then he starts telling me who it is, shows me the DMs. I swear, for literally 30 seconds, I had no idea who this woman was, even looking at the messages.
Of course, because that's your game. That's your move.
Yeah, I was like, I don't even know who this lady is. And then he showed me the messages, and then he showed me a couple of pictures of her. I still don't know who it is.
Right.
And then he showed me one that was more recent. I was like, oh, I remember when I had sex with this woman. And then I pulled up my DMs. I pulled up my Instagram, I should say. And she has a completely different Instagram with just her and her ass out and her.
Oh, right.
And then he shows me her real DMs, her real Instagram, and it's her, him, the children, on the beach, all that. And I felt so disgusted and so like, and I just told the dude honestly, and he believed me. I was like, because I was the truth. I was like, I had no idea. I had no fucking idea that this was your wife.
But you also weren't trying to find out either. You didn't ask for a dossier. You didn't get a background check. Well, you were just like, you ready to go? I'm ready to go. And this is what I'm saying before about that's what the problem is.
But she messaged me, but then looking back those messages, she messaged me like, oh, you know, I talked on some podcast about being a single dad. She's like, I'm a single mom. Oh, so it's all a lie. All monster. A lie. And then because you know, but then I learned my lesson. I had messaged this woman on like the 10th message. I had because she was like wanted to have sex right away. I messaged her my address and my apartment so I didn't know that's how he had it. Right. He looked back to our DMs, and that's how he knew exactly where I lived. So I'm like, I let this random complete stranger
I get it,
into my actual apartment.
There's a part of that guy as he's reading this.
You've done that too.
Yeah. There's a part of that this guy sees that it wasn't your fault.
Right.
But there was he loves the woman still.
Right.
That's what I tell. He loves her. He's not trying to he's just like, he needs something.
Right.
Because what do you do in that situation? You
Right.
need something. But that's what I'm saying. Like, so now you have like, oh man, it's just so
And then he kept texting me and messaging me. He
At
like
a certain
wanted to
point,
be
you
my
gotta be like,
friend, and I was
bro.
like, and I said him, I was like, hey, bro, I wish you all the best. I'm sorry that happened. I'm like, but I can't really take this any further.
Yeah.
And he was like, maybe I'll catch you at a show. And I was like, I wouldn't feel comfortable if you came to my shows. I
Oh,
just had to let him know.
Just like that?
I had to let him know. I was like, I mean, no disrespect by that, but I said, it's an awkward
You might
situation.
catch him, yeah.
I said, I gave you 100% of the information I have, and I told you how bad I feel not knowing, but I said, leave it at that. And he just wrote, cool. He wrote, cool, bruh.
Dude, I just had like a recent, this is like more recent. My girl and I, we had broken up. Okay. So I'm talking to this girl, just DM whatever, and it gets a little whatever right away where she's like sending videos of herself naked, like,
Yummy.
all right, so I'm like, okay, we're talking though,
Right.
and then the next thing you know, I see on her thing, there's in her stories, she's got a kid. Okay. So I'm like, oh, you got a kid. So then there's a guy also always, and I go, oh, that's obviously you're the baby daddy, right?
Right.
Y'all look like y'all are together. No, we're just really good friends.
Right.
We're like best friends now.
Sure,
We've been,
here we go.
10 years. We're best friends. And so, she wants to have lunch and but it never happens. And she gave me this weird thing about like, I can't have her phone number because she only gives her phone number to like, at the time I should have been like, of course, this is like ridiculous. She gave me this whole thing about like only personal. And then in DMs were like, and I'm the old guy who doesn't understand. So I went along with that because I was like arguing with her about it because I think it's stupid how people feel about social media. You know what I mean?
Right.
Anyways, all right. After talking, and I'm texting stupid shit. You know what I mean? She's saying cutesy, whatever. I get a message from the guy.
Yep.
He's like, I saw your corny ass messages. That's what this motherfucker said. I saw your corny ass messages to my girl. Boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, bro. First of all, I didn't know that was your girl. I'm telling him. She told me, and then she's messaging me on the other thing like, stop responding. Stop responding. Because I'm all in like, bitch, I didn't know she told me y'all just friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then he's getting crazy. And then I just go, I'm out, and I block them both.
Right.
But I just was like, damn, people are scandalous out there.
Hell yeah.
They're just, so what I'm saying though is like, just to get back to bring it full circle is that even if you're having what you assume is an intimate conversation with someone that you think, wow, I'm really getting to know this person. I feel a connection. You don't have a connection until you are in front of that person, till you hear their voice, till you look in their eyes. And at that moment, you're starting something that is even more deeper and more important than the superficial what we think we're pretending to be.
And then after physically going on a few dates, however many dates with them, you finally start to be like, okay, I can block my guard down. That's why I would much rather, I've been single now for 2 years, 2.5 years, had my fun, did everything that we were talking about. And now I'm like, yo, I want a girlfriend. I want to just like make something work where I have a relationship, a whole, and whatever happens there happens, but at least it's just one woman. Because it feels like with all this energy spending, responding to all these DMs, oh, pussy here, titties here, come to my shows. Yeah. It's inevitably going to, either one or two things going to happen. It's going to spin out of control and my health or career is going to suffer somehow because I'm not focusing or whatever. Or you're going to run into that crazy girl that's going to try to take your whole world down.
Yeah, man.
So it's a numbers game, right? I feel like the house always wins. You could get away with it 1,000 times, but then 1,001, you get that girl pregnant. You get that STD. That girl is crazy and tweets out your dick pics, and then that negates the previous 1,000. Right. Then you're just fucked.
Yeah, man.
So it's just numbers, man. Well, they will catch up to you.
I love my girl, Good. Now that's why I'm ring shopping, and I'm like, and I know, because the thing you were saying about your daughter and like how you're working, I'm starting to feel that about my girl. I'm starting to be like, oh, I want to start thinking about the future, and I want to like have a family, and I want to make sure I'm working hard for myself and for her to make sure that she's happy and make sure that I'm happy. And it's a whole other way of thinking as somebody that's like, that's single and like, you're doing your own shit. Now it's like everything has a purpose. Make me work harder on my podcast. Makes me like, you know what I'm saying?
And this is just like, my feeling. It doesn't mean anything, but it's like for me, I'm 35 now, I'm somebody's dad. It's a little bit of a whack look for me now, I think, to be single. Like, it's like, you know, like my kid's mom has a boyfriend that, you know, they're great, so happy. And then like when my daughter comes by my house, it's like, I'm single, like we eat off styrofoam plates and shit.
Right.
You know, like we're always ordering pizza. Because I'm like just a single guy. Like, you know, I could feed myself and take care of myself, but I don't cook. I don't. That's a woman's touch.
There's nothing. I'm about to say, there's something about a woman's touch that changes your whole thing.
Yeah. Like, I know your girl doesn't live here because I stepped through your laundry.
Yeah.
Like, I literally, to get into your house, back room, like we stepped through your whole laundry that was just all over the floor.
Hey, piece of shit. Nobody got to know.
I like it. No,
this motherfucker. How dare you throw me under the bus?
I know. My dad's listening like, you fucking rat.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because she wants to move in. I'm telling her, but she's already like, well, we have to do this, and this. I hate your couch. I hate that, you know.
She's right.
And she said, like, it's funny how she said it too, because I was like, well, she wants this couch that, you know, that's at her parents' place to, you know. I'm like, no, that's a hard no on that. And she was like, is it? You know,
and you're like, I guess it's not.
I was like, oh shit, she's already like, you know, like I had to change the shower heads. I had to, like, you know.
But they do make the improvements are usually worth it.
Of course, you know, I'm totally like, once you get out of that single guy state of like, in the stubbornness of like, this is how it's gonna be because this is my castle. Once you get past all that, you just go, okay, yeah, what do you want to do? Yeah. That's why a guy has to have like a room. This is gonna be my room. This is my cave. I'm doing whatever the fuck I want in here. But you can have every other room. You know, what pictures you want to take, whatever you want to do. Do whatever the fuck you want to do. I don't care.
Oh, yeah.
Make the bed as girly as you want. I realize it's like, you know, that's what happy life, happy wife. It's just
beautiful. I know.
Go live in Narnia.
I kind of want that now. I'm done fucking being single. You know?
He says that cut to like tonight.
I know.
Dude, we've done a solid hour. I feel like I could talk to you for like, you know, another hour or so. When you're in town again, you know,
please.
You have an open invitation to come on. Whatever, even when you're plugging stuff or whatever like that. I'm even trying to do like FaceTime. Like I'm trying to like figure that out too. So you're always welcome to come back on there. And I really appreciate, you know, everything that you've been talking about right now. You're a very insightful guy.
Hell yeah.
And a good father. And I appreciate your energy. And I'll have all of Chris's information in the description there. Is there anything that you want to like? What important thing you got coming out that you really want to talk about?
When is this coming out?
Probably like in the next 2 weeks.
Next 2 weeks?
Either this week coming up or next week.
So I got a podcast called History Hyenas, doing very well. We got a live show March 19th at the Gramercy Theater. First show sold out, so we got tickets for the second show. And then April 29th, the Wall Street Theater in Norwalk, Connecticut. And then my own stand-up dates, chrisdcomedy.com, Vancouver, Boston, Philadelphia, Providence. We just put up Aladdin Theater and Neptune Theater in October. Got a whole bunch of dates. Newark, got the Victoria Theater in Newark, New Jersey, April 18th. So, chrisdcomedy.com, all my stand-up dates, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, come check out Chris D. Because it's funny you say Chris D. So it's like people think, oh, is that Chris D with a T-Y?
Yeah, Chris D.
Anyways, guys, this has been Riffin with Griffin. Continue to watch, subscribe, share, check out all of his information. Go to ericgriffin.com, and I will see you next week.